I was with Sebastian for 7 years. He spent quite a lot of money just to keep me happy. Later, when he was about to get engaged, he gave me 2 options: take the money and leave, or stay on as his mistress. I chose neither. I left cleanly and decisively. I didn't even touch the generous breakup fee, only asked him for one promise: no matter what trouble I might run into in the future, as long as I came to him, he had to give me a hand. A few years later, a powerful second-generation rich kid * took a liking to me and wouldn't leave me alone. Out of desperation, I called Sebastian. He asked, "Why do you insist on turning him down?" On the other end of the line, he sounded amused. "Is it because you don't like him?" I sighed and said, "It's because I'm already married." Chapter 1. There was a full minute of silence on the line. I gripped my phone tightly. The only thing I could hear was his low breathing. "When did that happen?" Sebastian's tone was calm, every word enunciated clearly. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Huh? Who tells their ex when they get married?" I let out a laugh. "We just got the marriage certificate. Met through a blind date. Something that small." "I didn't dare bother you with it." Another silence followed. Sebastian spoke again, his tone indifferent. "I see." Amid the noisy background, came the casual flicking of a lighter. The lid snapped open and shut again and again, each time more forceful. I looked down at my toes and stayed quiet. This call was indeed a bit presumptuous. We'd been broken up for years. I was married, and he had someone new by his side. If Bruno hadn't gone so far, I wouldn't have wanted to bother him again. Bruno was a notorious playboy in City A, barely in his early 20s. He was all about wine, women, and chaos, utterly lawless. We met once at a friend's dinner gathering. He raised an eyebrow, his eyes lingering on my face the whole night. After dinner, his assistant handed me a hotel room keycard with a smile. I pushed it back without hesitation and rejected him flat out. But Bruno seemed to take that as me playing hard to get. For the past 3 months, he'd shown up outside my office right at closing time every day, holding flowers, making a big scene. I'd had someone pass on a message to him, gently saying I was already married, asking him not to bother me again. But he only doubled down, even offering me a job as his secretary. Reputation is a fragile thing. If this kept going, I'd lose even my job. Thinking of that, I couldn't help but speak. "Bruno's family owns mines, and he's got some underworld connections. Only you can hold him down. You want me to put him in his place?" Sebastian asked flatly. "Sarah, what about your husband? Is he dead?" My mind went blank. I answered awkwardly. He's just like me, just an ordinary person. Nothing special." A cold chuckle came from the other end, tinged with mockery. No matter how cocky Bruno acted, he was just a spoiled rich kid from a third-tier city. Someone of his level couldn't even get a foot into Sebastian's world. Sebastian was born and raised in City A, a third-generation elite, a thoroughbred of power and pedigree. He lacked neither status nor wealth. The so-called big shots in other people's eyes were nothing more than ants to him. I bit my lip, about to say something, when a gentle female voice suddenly came through the line. "Sebastian, who are you on the phone with?" Sebastian lied without missing a beat. "A business partner." The woman clearly didn't believe him. Her tone bossy. "Let me see." "Don't be silly." His gentle rebuke carried a kind of indulgent affection. I panicked and hung up, hands and feet ice cold. Chapter 2. My husband Mario was away on a business trip and didn't know about Bruno. So when he called to ask if anything had been bothering me lately, I sniffled and forced a smile. "Everything's fine. What could possibly be wrong?" Mario's voice was clear and steady, as calm and dependable as always. "If anything comes up, make sure to tell me. I'll take care of it." A pang of guilt hit me. In the restaurant bathroom, I covered my eyes with my hand. Mario was just an ordinary man who worked diligently every day. What could he possibly do when faced with someone powerful? He'd only end up getting hurt. I told him to get some rest early. Unexpectedly, my voice caught in my throat as I said it. On the other end, his breathing paused. His tone turned cold and serious. "Sarah, what happened?" I hurriedly hung up the call. Bruno had conspired with my supervisor to set up a trap. I thought I was going to discuss a major business deal, but when I arrived, I realized Bruno was the client. There were colleagues around too. At a moment like that, I couldn't just get up and leave. Maybe he found my helplessness amusing as I sat down. Bruno stared at me boldly, eyes filled with arrogant confidence like I was already his. During the second half of the dinner, he kept pushing drinks my way without saying much. Right before things ended, I found a chance to slip out of the restaurant, but someone grabbed my wrist and yanked me into his arms. "Did you really think you could slip out of my grasp?" His carefree, mocking voice sounded above my head. He stroked my face, smiling shamelessly, the corner of his eyes curling flirtatiously. I frowned, just about to scold him to let me go, when a piercing light suddenly shone in my face, making it almost impossible to keep my eyes open. A sleek Bentley screeched to a stop nearby. The rear window rolled down, revealing a face tinged with cold indifference. My heart skipped as I locked eyes with Sebastian. After that phone call, I had given up hope that he'd actually step in. Why would he suddenly show up in City A? I took a deep breath and raised my arm, easily breaking free from Bruno's grip. He froze on the spot, tongue-tied. "You uncle." Chapter 3. Bruno apologized to me, grumbling. He said, "Sarah, I was being a fool chasing something I never had a chance at. I swear I won't bother you again." As he spoke, he shot a cautious glance at Sebastian. The latter barely lifted his eyelids and returned the look without a word. Bruno's face went pale, the expression on his face miserable. "Uncle, I swear I didn't know she was your woman. If I'd known, I wouldn't have dared even with 10 lives. I cleared my throat and emphasized, "That was in the past. We're not together anymore." Sebastian glanced at me but said nothing. After a pause, he turned his head coldly. "Still not leaving?" Bruno slinked off in defeat. The air inside the car grew colder and colder. I couldn't help but shiver. Sebastian casually pulled off his jacket and tossed it onto me. I had worn a camisole tonight to stay cool. Sebastian never liked me wearing anything that showed my arms or more. He had always had this possessive obsession with my body. I remembered his cool fingers pressing into my skin inch by inch, his voice low and squeezed through clenched teeth. "Here, here, and here too." That long, slender finger suddenly curled, and I let out a soft whimper. He spoke slowly and deliberately, "All of it's mine. No one else is allowed to see, even less to touch. Anyone who does, dies." I gave a soft cough. "Then, I'll get going now?" Sebastian lowered his lashes, like he hadn't heard me. After a long pause, he looked at me calmly. "Where are you staying? I'll take you home." I waved him off. "No need. I'll take the subway. It's convenient." Sebastian paused for a moment, then let out a faint, cold laugh. "Afraid of me?" I blinked. He sneered. "I'm not Bruno. I'm not the kind of man who'd make a move on a married woman." That was true. Sebastian was always picky. Otherwise, he wouldn't have waited so long before getting involved with me in the first place. I was nearly 30 now, no match for the young girls swarming around him, not comparable to that well-matched Miss Ning by his side either. There was no way he'd still feel anything for me. Even if he did, it would only be discussed after getting bored. There was a time when I naively believed that Sebastian loved me. It started when I ran away from home at 18, and he brought me back to that villa. He protected me from being found by my drug-addict parents, sent me to an elite university overseas, gave me a generous monthly allowance, and raised me to look and live like a rich heiress. Over the years, he must have spent at least a few million on me, but Sebastian never once mentioned it in front of me. His identity made traveling abroad difficult, yet he still came to visit me often. Each trip meant dozens of hours on a plane. He'd be utterly exhausted, but still forced himself to stay energetic, asking how I was doing and whether I had enough money. I once asked him why he was so good to me. Sebastian's friends also had lovers, but they only threw money at them, never invested this much time or effort. Sebastian smiled, his voice calm and clear. "You're the pet I picked up. Of course I have to raise you with care." Looking back, I finally understood the meaning behind those words. He had already defined our relationship from the beginning. I was just a pet, something he could keep by his side, toss away, or even own two of at the same time. Clearly, Sebastian had no intention of discarding me. That morning, after attending Miss Ning's engagement banquet, he sat across from me without even changing clothes. Our relationship stays the same. You don't need to worry. My voice trembled slightly. What do you mean by the same? Sebastian's tone was cold and steady. She won't interfere with us. If you don't want to continue. He raised an eyebrow slightly, showing not a trace of reluctance. You can take $10 million and walk away. I closed my eyes and said I'd think about it. But there wasn't really anything to think about. Everyone has their limits, and I could never be a mistress. I just needed a night to soften the blow, to make him feel like my decision to leave wasn't made too easily. That night, some gossip-loving friends called after seeing the engagement news, asking how Sebastian had handled me. He answered the call right in front of me, with zero hesitation, his wrist pale against the light. I saw her. I don't really care. What's there to care about? He lowered his eyes and chuckled. Just a plaything. Chapter 4. Sebastian drove me home. The oppressive aura around him had eased. It wasn't as sharp and cold as before. What made you decide to get married? Sebastian's gaze hovered on my face. Weren't you the one who said you'd never get married in this lifetime? That was just a harsh line I'd thrown out when we broke up. I smiled quietly. Back then, I didn't think I'd meet someone I liked this much. I guess he's what people call the right one. The truth was, Mario and I didn't meet through a blind date. At the time, I was transferred for work and spent a few months under his management. He was the most competent boss I'd ever met, astute, efficient, and able to organize a hastily assembled team with flawless precision. The way he handled everything so smoothly gave me the impression that he was born to lead. For a while, I even felt like he and Sebastian were cut from the same cloth. I'm someone who falls for good looks. Mario had refined, understated features. When he focused on you, it felt like a gentle warm breeze. The first time I saw him, he reminded me of Sebastian. Sebastian, too, was widely acknowledged as incredibly handsome, but his looks were razor-sharp, like a winter wind with icy needles that pierced to the bone. Exactly the kind of face I was drawn to. That's why I'd secretly liked him for so many years. But who says you can only fall for one person in a lifetime? Mario was single, never married, from a modest middle-class family, with no background to speak of. And that was the good part, he was someone within my reach. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw veins starting to show on Sebastian's forearm as it rested on the steering wheel. He sneered. So what if he's the right one? An ordinary man who can't even protect you, letting someone like Bruno harass you so easily. Sarah, divorce him. Don't keep making the same mistake. I was stunned. Divorce? Sebastian stared at me and repeated himself. Divorce him. He's a nobody, not good enough for you. Who was he calling a nobody? I glared at him. Sebastian lowered his eyes slightly, his voice tinged with arrogance. After you divorce him, The vibration of a phone cut him off. That's when I remembered I still hadn't returned Mario's call. Just as my finger touched the screen, a hand clamped tightly around my wrist. Sebastian's eyes landed on the caller ID, and his expression visibly jolted. Mario-chan? Why do you have his number? I blinked. He's my husband. Of course I have his number. As the words left my mouth, I slowly turned to look at Sebastian. His expression had turned awful. How did he know Mario-chan? I hesitated for a second. Then, in front of Sebastian, I calmly answered the call and spoke cheerfully. Hey, honey, what's up? I just had to work overtime earlier and was feeling down. But I'm fine now. Don't worry. Suddenly, Sebastian pressed down on my forearm, and my phone slammed against the steering wheel with a loud thud. I shot him an angry glare, only to see him tightly pursing his lips as he tapped the speakerphone button. A few seconds later, Mario's warm voice came through the line. I figured as much. He said softly, Sarah, you have to believe me, no matter what happens. I'm capable of handling it for you. I laughed. Of course I believe you. Chapter 5. Sebastian's phone began to vibrate. After I hung up, he answered it without a change in expression. Speak. Muffled muttering came faintly through the speaker, and my heart tensed. It was Bruno's voice. Uncle, that was way too harsh. Just over a woman, and you had to go that far. Sebastian frowned. What exactly did I do to you? Be specific. Bruno whined. I just got the notice. Our family's contracted mines can't get their mining permits renewed, and all the clients we've worked with for years are suddenly canceling their contracts. Sebastian suddenly let out a mocking laugh. Who else in all of City A would have that kind of pull? Don't tell me it was the Chan family heir? Why would he be in City A? Sebastian said coldly. If someone from the top is cleaning you up, then take it and shut up. Bruno sounded like he was about to cry. Come on, uncle. You're the only one who can save my family now. You had no ability of your own and still dared mess with someone else's wife. Serves you right. After hanging up, Sebastian went quiet. His handsome face held a strange expression, half smirk, half anger. I looked at him curiously. Do you know Mario? He let out a scornful laugh. Which Mario are you talking about? That useless husband of yours? Or the heir to the Chan group? Worth billions? The heir to the Chan group. Worth billions? How did he come up with that? I was startled and waved my hands quickly. You misunderstood. Forget it. Pretend I didn't ask. Sebastian let out a low chuckle. When he looked at me again, there was a touch of pity in his eyes. Sarah, you've been lied to. I thought Sebastian must have lost his mind. He said Mario was the billionaire heir of the Chan group. Take a look. Isn't this the man you call your husband? Sebastian showed me a photo. It was a selfie of him and Mario. The two of them were shirtless on a submarine, surrounded by 4 or 5 blonde women, all with flawless figures. We were classmates at Harvard. Got along pretty well, Sebastian said calmly. This was taken on a private island in Hawaii. The island and the yacht were birthday gifts from the Chan family patriarch for Mario's 18th birthday. We were equals in status, both fond of fun, and hung out together for a long time. I've got a lot more photos like this. 18. I looked down, staring at that face. Delicate features, damp fringe falling slightly over his forehead, carrying a hint of dashing charm. He had a playful smirk, fingers tilting a blonde woman's chin. That face, youthful, still untouched by the calm maturity that came with age and experience. It was Mario, a young and reckless Mario. He'd always been calm, composed, easygoing, never lingering on a pretty face. I'd never seen him like this before. The whole world suddenly felt unreal. Like a dream. Sebastian furrowed his brow slightly and reached for my wrist. But I instinctively pulled away. His dark eyes turned cold again. After we graduated from Harvard, he returned home to take over the family business. And I stayed here for a power transition. One in the north, one in the south, too busy to reconnect. Then he added with a faint smirk. But I did mention him to you once. You should remember. I stared at him, unsure. Yes, he had mentioned him. Now I remembered. On one wild and messy night, I was sore all over, sobbing and cursing him as a bastard. Sebastian, satisfied, toyed lazily with my hair. Something must have crossed his mind, because he chuckled lowly. I have a friend surnamed Chan. He comes from a long line of wealth and power. If he ever met you, he might be even more of a bastard than me. I shoved at him. Don't change the subject. He'd never be as shameless as you. Sebastian replied coolly. You're too naive. He's just like me, only better at pretending. Chapter 6. My head was pounding. Memories of my time with Mario replayed endlessly in my mind. Dating, meeting his parents, getting engaged, registering our marriage. Every step had gone so smoothly. Mario's parents were both teachers, kind, gentle, and respectful. Even after learning about my complicated family background, they never showed a hint of disapproval. After we got married, they deliberately stayed out of our lives so as not to interfere. I thought I had won the lottery, married into a good family, and was on my way to a peaceful, happy life. But Sebastian shattered it all. He told me Mario's parents had died when he was 10. Mario was raised by the powerful patriarch of the Chan family himself. The parents I had met were just actors he'd hired. And as for his job, Sebastian said coolly, the Chan family values privacy and keeps their identities hidden. Very few people know who they are. Even the top leadership at your company probably has no idea they hired someone so important. He glanced down at me, his tone mocking. What were you thinking? You didn't really believe Mario hid his identity to marry you out of love, did you? He's just playing with you. The old man from the Chan family probably doesn't even know you exist. He's still busy picking out a proper wife for Mario. Sebastian gave a brief laugh. All from prominent families. Elegant, well-bred young ladies. What are you going to do then? Chapter 7. Mario came home. The moment he walked in, I could smell the faint aroma of food. He was wearing an apron, head down, seriously focused on cooking. When we first moved in together, neither of us could cook. Especially me, I'd always end up splashing hot oil on myself while trying to stir fry, leaving painful, blistered burns on my hands. Mario applied ointment to my hand and sighed helplessly. From now on, I'll do the cooking at home. Sure, we could have just eaten out, but he said only cooking for yourself makes it feel like real life. I put down my bag and silently wrapped my arms around him from behind. He gently squeezed my hand. I could hear in your voice that something was wrong. I caught the next available flight back. The next available flight. I had just checked online, not long ago. The next flight wasn't until 3 p.m. tomorrow. How did he get back? A private jet? I let out a soft laugh. The man I thought was just a corporate worker was actually a long-hidden powerhouse. But what did he go through all that trouble to marry me for? I put down my chopsticks, ready to ask him in person. Just then, I saw a text from Sebastian, sent at some point without me noticing. Sarah, as long as you divorce Mario now, I still want you. Just one short line. And I could already picture the confident, possessive look on his face. I sat in silence for a long time. Then I looked up and met Mario's eyes. He gazed at me quietly, his eyes as warm and clear as jade. After a few seconds, I looked away, lowering my head. I typed a reply to Sebastian. I won't divorce him. Chapter 8. Mario stayed with me at home for a long time. I deliberately asked how his parents were doing these days, and he replied without a change in expression. They've retired and are enjoying life farming in the countryside. You don't need to worry. Why don't we invite them to stay with us for a few days? They're getting older, it's time they enjoyed some comfort. Mario chuckled, looking down at my face, his tone teasing. How did I get so lucky to marry such a filial wife? He slightly raised an eyebrow and pulled me into his arms. No rush to spoil my parents, actually. I have a grandfather too. One day, I'll take you to see him. The last few words he said were very soft. I didn't hear them clearly, only snuggled against his chest. Feeling a little melancholy, Mario was gentle, restrained, always considerate, an exceptionally good husband. If things could just stay this way, I could pretend I knew nothing. A few months later, Mario packed again for another business trip. I asked where he was headed. Our department head asked me to go abroad to inspect a project. I looked up news on the Chan Group. They were deep in negotiations with an international company at the final contract signing stage. The heads of both companies were required to attend. He wasn't inspecting anything for someone else. He was the top executive. When I saw Sebastian again at the Chan residence, I was momentarily dazed. I thought I was seeing things. I had already made my stance clear to him that day. I wouldn't divorce Mario. Shouldn't he have already left City A? Sebastian's face was cold as he yanked me into his car and locked the doors. Not getting a divorce? Are you waiting for the Chan patriarch to destroy you? He ground his teeth. Sarah, the Chan family will never accept you. The wife of a Chan heir could never come from your kind of background. Sebastian insisted I face Mario's true nature, whether I agreed or not. He took me out of the country. He said Mario would attend a ball hosted by the partner company after closing the deal. The air was scented, and the sound of rustling gowns filled the room. I stood hidden in the shadows, watching Mario bend down, smiling, as he kissed the hand of a beautiful woman with black hair. She's the daughter of the partner company's owner. Her net worth exceeds 10 billion. Marrying her would be a powerful alliance, an immense benefit to the Chan Group. Sebastian explained flatly. The two of them had an arranged marriage since childhood. If Mario hadn't refused, they'd be married by now. Truth is, you came after. To put it bluntly, you're the other woman. He spoke slowly, each word slicing into me like a blade. Sarah. Sebastian turned me around and leaned in to wipe away my tears. Whatever happiness you have with him is fake. This won't end well. I can forgive you for falling in love with someone else. Come back to me. What do you say? To come back to you and be your mistress? Sebastian, listen carefully. I took a deep breath. Even if I divorce Mario, I'll never be with you again. I don't love you anymore. Even if I wasn't anything grand, I was at least legally married, both by law and by morality. I had nothing to be ashamed of. Sebastian let out a string of cold laughs. Good. Just as I was about to breathe a sigh of relief, he suddenly pulled me in hard. He lowered his head and kissed me, strong, practiced, and forceful. Was he insane? I bit down on his tongue with all my strength, then shoved him away with fury and slapped him hard across the face. My fingers trembled slightly. That's when I realized what I had done. Sebastian stared at me, face dark, his eyes suddenly red. He closed his eyes for a moment. His voice came out hoarse. "You've already slapped me. Stop making a scene. Just come back." As soon as the words left his mouth, a soft gasp came from behind. "Sebastian? What are you doing here?" Chapter 9. Miss Ning wore an exquisite designer gown. When she looked at me, her expression darkened. "Sarah." She spat out my name like it was forced through gritted teeth. The people around her picked up on the tension and gradually began to gather. Mario was among them. When he saw my face clearly, the smile he had vanished in an instant, his expression dropped. As if in disbelief, he and the dark-haired woman beside him turned to look curiously. My husband and another woman standing together, what a perfect match they made. A pang of bitterness rose in my chest. I lowered my eyes, red-rimmed. He wouldn't step up to defend me, and he definitely wouldn't acknowledge me. Compared to the beloved, well-bred granddaughter-in-law his grandfather preferred, I was just the one he kept hidden in the shadows. Miss Ning, true to the expectations of the onlookers, did not disappoint. She refused to hear any explanation and, with eyes brimming red, demanded, "You already left. Why did you come back to steal my man?" Sebastian scolded sharply. "We already broke up. Stop making a scene." Broke up? I was stunned. Just on the phone recently, I'd clearly heard them laughing and flirting. Miss Ning suddenly burst into tears. "It's because of her, right? That's why you broke up with me. Sebastian, you're heartless." She raised her wine glass and flung it at me with full force. Gasps and murmurs broke out all around us. Disdainful, judgmental stares locked onto me like spotlights, rooting me in place. The glass was about to hit my face. I stood there frozen, unable to react. Just then, someone grabbed my wrist tightly. Mario. He raised his arm in a flash, and the glass smashed hard against the bones of his hand with a sharp crack. He furrowed his brow slightly, steadied me, then turned to the crowd with a cold gaze. "You're saying she's having an affair with Sebastian?" Miss Ning didn't even hesitate. She nodded immediately. "They were all over each other, flirting shamelessly. Just now, they were kissing. I saw it with my own eyes." "Miss Ning." Mario suddenly cut her off, every word crisp and clear. "Are you saying that my wife and your ex-boyfriend are engaged in an inappropriate relationship?" The room fell into complete silence. Miss Ning's eyes widened. It was as if she'd lost the ability to speak. He let out a cold laugh. "Spreading slander comes with consequences. Miss Ning, you'd better think carefully before you speak again." Maybe it was because the scene had become too ugly. Or maybe the news of Mario being married had caused too much of a stir. The crowd silently dispersed to another venue. Even Miss Ning was coaxed away. Within just half an hour, only the three of us remained in the hall. Sebastian let out a soft laugh. "Never thought that after all these years, we'd meet again like this." He raised an eyebrow. "I slept with her, and now you're with her. I guess fate's funny that way." Mario replied calmly, with a curse. "Fate my ass. Hooking up with a married woman, real classy. You must make our alma mater proud. You stole what was mine first." Sebastian turned to me, his gaze darkening. "I was with her first. 7 years. Mario, can you just brush off 7 years?" Mario stared at him deeply, then silently pulled me along and walked out. His grip on my wrist was so tight it felt like my bones would snap, filled with fury. Gone was the gentle facade. He pushed me into a secluded corner, the air around him sharp and heavy. "So, that 7-year ex you kept mentioning was Sebastian?" I lowered my head in shame. Tears trembled and fell, landing on his hand like tiny blows that left dents. He had lied to me, and I had lied to him. We both had pasts we couldn't speak of. "Let's get a divorce." "What did you say?" I shut my eyes and forced my voice to remain steady. "Let's divorce. Mario, no matter why you married me in the first place." Silence fell between us. Mario stood motionless, his eyes swirling with emotion. After a long while, he let out a faint laugh. "Why do you think I married you? You should know what marriage means to someone like me." He spoke each word slowly, Cold and cruel. If I just wanted to sleep with you, or play around, I have 100 ways to get what I want. Why would I risk losing half my assets to marry you? He pressed the question stubbornly, like he had to hear the answer from my lips. Say it, why? I choked up, tears streaming as I shook my head. Even if you love me now, what difference does it make? A lifetime is a long time. A marriage built on unequal social status is a chasm love alone can't cross. There's too much of a gap between us. I don't want this kind of marriage. I'm not good enough for you. And I don't want you to settle. Mario suddenly let go of me. He lowered his eyes slightly, let out a bitter laugh. See? This is exactly why I didn't want to tell you the truth. Chapter 10. Mario dropped the act completely. He handed me a supplementary credit card with no limit, and even took me to his house abroad. Though calling it a house didn't quite cut it, it was more like an estate, spanning several thousand square meters. You're not allowed to go back to China on your own. There are plenty of malls here. Go shopping. Keep yourself busy. Once I'm done with this project, I'll take you back to meet the old man. I was confused. Why would I meet your grandfather? Wasn't the plan to divorce me before he ever found out I existed? What do you mean? Why meet my grandfather? Mario took a deep breath, like he was holding back anger. His expression even carried a hint of grievance. Sarah, you're his granddaughter-in-law. If you don't go, who else is supposed to go with me to see him? A flash of the dark-haired woman's face crossed my mind. I pressed my lips together and gave a cold laugh. That girl at the ball seemed like a good fit. I heard your grandfather likes her. Oh, you want her to be my stepmom? Mario took a sip of water and gave me a side glance. Voice cool. You're just trying to get under my skin now. I almost laughed, but held it back. Just like that, all the bad emotions I'd been carrying seemed to melt away. That was Mario. Most of the time, he was calm and collected, occasionally with a hint of playful sarcasm, and always able to catch my emotions just in time. It was as if he would never show me his sharp edges. Why are you staring at me like that? Mario casually tossed the bottle to the floor and raised an eyebrow slightly. Afraid you won't see this face again after the divorce. So you're getting your fill now? I was speechless for a moment and turned to head for the guest room, but he pulled me onto the bed from behind. The luxury hotel mattress was soft and warm, rising up to meet my waist. He leaned in, body slightly curved, and wrapped me in a protective embrace. One hand rested gently on the pulse at my neck. Wife, I'm tired. Sleep with me for a while. Mario's voice was deep and sleepy. His lowered lashes trembled slightly. He really did look exhausted. My heart softened. I stopped giving him the cold shoulder and reached up to brush his soft bangs. Go to sleep. Mario didn't sleep much, and it was hard for him to fall asleep. But back when we were still in that flirty, undefined stage, there was once, during a business trip, when he leaned on my shoulder and actually slept for 3 whole hours. When he woke up, still half asleep, he looked at me blankly. I still remembered how adorable he was at that moment. That sharp intelligence disappeared, and he looked obedient, like a child, so much so that I couldn't resist pinching his cheek. And the very next second, he leaned down and kissed me. Chapter 11. Mario rarely slept well, so when Sebastian's message came through, I couldn't bear to wake him. I gently slipped out from his arms, trying not to make a sound. The message was short, just a few words. Did you forget your passport? Damn it. Since we left the country, he'd been the one holding on to my passport. Too much had happened since, and I'd completely forgotten about it. I replied, send someone to drop it off, or give me the location, I'll hire a courier to pick it up. Sebastian responded flatly, come get it yourself. We agreed to meet by the fountain in the hotel garden. When I arrived, he was already there, standing with his head lowered. I had no idea how long he'd been waiting. He watched quietly as I walked over, his eyes carrying a trace of fatigue. Have you really thought this through? I wasn't paying attention to what he said, too focused on stuffing the passport safely into my bag. It's late, I'm heading back. Sebastian looked at me in silence, then suddenly grabbed my wrist and pulled me toward him. Our bodies touched for just an instant before I pushed him away, suppressing my anger. This should be the last time we meet alone. Sebastian, I will never go back to you. I don't feel the slightest bit for you anymore. Do what you want with your life. With that, I turned and left quickly, Behind me, he stood completely still, like a frozen sculpture. I carefully pushed open the door to our suite. Less than 20 minutes had passed. Mario shouldn't be awake yet, right? The door opened silently. At some point, the lights in the living room had been turned off. His cold voice echoed through the dark. Where were you? My guilt flared. I went for a walk. In the garden. Mario said nothing. He got up with no expression, step by step backing me against the door. His eyes churned with emotion. A walk with him? Talking closely. Just the two of you? So, he'd seen it. I went quiet for a moment, then admitted honestly, my passport, it was with Sebastian. He suddenly bit down, hard, on the tip of my tongue. Mario was always gentle, whether in moments like this or in everyday life. He was warm as water, even when he was dominant. He never hurt me. Usually, if he saw I was tired, he would hold himself back and stop. But now, it was like he had stripped away every last bit of restraint. He took the most fragile part of me, again and again, and filled me until I couldn't hold anymore. He held me tight in his arms, as if to brand me into his bones and blood. Sarah, you're not allowed to see him again. His voice was trembling, and so was the hand gripping my shoulder. I won't allow it. It's been over for a long time. I tried my best to calm him, cupping his face and kissing him all over. There's nothing between us, really. I stopped liking him long ago. He buried his head in my hair, slowly beginning to calm down. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I didn't know how much time passed before he finally spoke. His voice strained. I only dared to marry you after I gained control of most of the company shares. Originally, I planned to wait a little longer. I wanted to come clean once I fully seized control. By then, even the old man wouldn't be able to use the company to threaten me. Sarah, since we're already married, there's no gap between us. I didn't sign any prenup. My wealth is yours too. You're protected by law. He took a deep breath, as if holding back a flood of emotion. You can't use this as a reason to divorce me. I know, I won't. Everything I said before. I was just angry. I promised him over and over again, until I had to change the subject. So why did you come to City A? Mario closed his eyes briefly, then said, I had a fight with my grandfather. He tried to force me into a marriage alliance. So I left in a fury, wanted to prove I could make it without the Chan family. I broke into a tearful laugh. And then? Then I met you. Mario lowered his head and kissed my eyes. This time, his kiss was soft, like the calm after a storm, bringing peace and reassurance. I sat up and asked, so when did you fall in love with me? I don't know. I paused in surprise. Mario looked at me quietly. Love builds up bit by bit in every passing moment. All I know is, by the time I realized it, I couldn't live without you. He said softly, when we were dating, I wanted to give you money, to give you the best things in the world, but I kept hesitating, unsure of what you really wanted. Then one day, I heard you say you really wanted to wear a wedding dress. Sarah, I love you, and for someone like me, marriage is the most precious thing I could ever give. Chapter 12. The next time I saw Sebastian was on the day of Grandfather Chan's 80th birthday celebration. As the matriarch of the Chan family, Mario Chan brought me to meet the old man, who nearly had a stroke. He raised his cane and chased this unfilial grandson around, trying to hit him. He glared at me furiously. If I don't have 3 fat grandsons in 2 years, you can get the hell out of this house. Mario readily agreed, then leaned over and whispered in my ear, don't mind him. If it comes to that, we'll just say I'm the problem. I elbowed him discreetly. Sebastian looked noticeably thinner. His already sharp jawline had become even more chiseled, making him seem colder, more detached. Mario and I stayed on the first floor to greet guests. From across the sea of elegantly dressed men and women, Sebastian's gaze found mine and lingered, silent, unwavering. He didn't bring a date. Miss Ning had already had a flash wedding with another young and promising man. She was smart, knew better than to offend the Chan family. She came to apologize to me in person, and we managed to put the past behind us. She even sent me a wedding invitation. She looked stunning in her wedding dress, her eyes far brighter when smiling than when crying. I truly wished her happiness and a long, blissful marriage. Miss Ning smiled. Thank you. I've let go. Let go of whom? We both understood without needing to say it aloud. She sighed. Honestly, I still feel a little bitter. After all these years, I didn't end up marrying the man I loved. But I was the one who turned him down. You were right, he's no longer good enough for me. I even feel a little sorry for him. She added meaningfully, glancing at me. Like attracts like, they say. In the end, he didn't get the one he loved either. We're both equally pathetic. I corrected her. He didn't love me that much. How much affection can a person give to a pet? Miss Ning shook her head. Feelings are complicated. Even he can't tell whether what he felt for you was possessiveness or real love. The night you left him, he came to my place drunk and cried his heart out. When he sobered up, he acted like nothing happened. Does he love you? Who's to say? Some people are geniuses in every aspect of life, except love, where they're complete fools. Just then, Mario suddenly appeared, wrapping an arm around me and smiling. Then I must be a foolproof genius in every aspect. Miss Ning glared at him. She looked at the two of us and pouted in mild annoyance. Tell me, what does she have that I don't? Why did he fall for you instead of me? Aside from your looks, you don't have any obvious strengths. Yet you managed to attract two top-tier men. I answered honestly. I really don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Mario replied calmly. Haven't you heard the saying? Love has a will of its own. My wife and I, we're destined. I snapped out of it. Mario was still chatting and laughing with the guests, his hand confidently resting on my waist the whole time. The wine in my glass swirled, reflecting the man standing a short distance away with reddened eyes. He stood there in loneliness, like an abandoned puppy. Love, who can say for sure? I looked away, and gently leaned my head on Mario's shoulder.